And we're back. Your favorite podcast about creativity, art, design, philosophy.
You hit record this time, yeah?
I did hit record this time. This is Woodworking is Bullshit. I'm your host, Paul Jasper, woodworker by day, scientist by day, woodworker by night. I always get those confused.
Career
and I'm
change.
here with my best boy. Good boy.
My good.
Just a good woodworking boy.
My best boy.
My best boy, Eric Curtis, fine furniture maker and content creator. We have a bit of a different intro and a different episode today. Eric, what do we have in store?
Little different vibe today. So in our previous conversation with Justin Mabie and KONRAD SAUER, two gentlemen, two fantastic purveyors of their craft. Purveyors. We dove into the after show, and about 45 or 50 minutes into the after show, Paul sent a group text and it was just like, let's just keep riding and make this a whole nother episode. Because it ended up being legitimately a really good conversation.
Yes. And now this is, what is it now? 2 weeks after we recorded that. And I can't remember all what the topics were that we actually talked about. Can you?
No, it was fully free flowing. It did feel kind of like the Barstool Confessions in that it was just four people conversing about things, trying to like really contend with some shit. And I'm sure there are some jokes in there that, who knows if they hold up to time, but it's
definitely some jokes. But I recall after that first episode that I guess we've already released now. This second episode, I recall there being a lot of meat still on the bone. And like we were diving deeper in this second hour. We were going deeper into more topics, bearing our vulnerability even more, right? Yeah. And so we figured, hey, what the heck? We'll do this as a 2-part series. It's the first time we've ever done a 2-part series because we couldn't shut the fuck up. So that's a good thing.
And you know what? Let's shut the fuck up right now and just dive into it. Let the people hear what we have.
All right. Without further ado, bye.
Bye. So Justin's a train boy now.
All aboard!
Yeah, you just started becoming a train boy in the middle of your late 20s?
Yeah, at my late 20s at age 31, I started really liking model trains. So, yeah, Conrad, I got a model train set in my bedroom, ladies.
It's not small either.
Dude, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't care what shit anybody is into. If you're passionate about your shit, I can listen to anybody talk about it for hours.
It is fun.
It's fun. Yeah. I don't care what it is. That's cool.
You spent fucking months on that thing too, didn't you?
I did, but yeah,
so
I don't know.
What scale is it?
Full send.
What scale?
Great question. That's HO scale. It's 1 to 87 HO scale.
Okay.
What does HO mean?
It's just what the old people designated it as.
What does HO stand for?
There's a couple of different scales.
Yeah, HO scale.
And 187 was the one that they decided on?
Yeah, HO scale. I'm reading it right now. I actually don't know.
You fucking poser.
It doesn't. I don't know. What
is that 87 to 1?
Yeah, it's 180. Yeah. No. It's 1 to 87, Paul.
Yeah, 187th.
It's 87 times bigger than a normal train.
Why
His
the
apartment
fuck would
is
they
fucking
choose
massive.
Why would they choose such a random fucking number like 87?
That's what I was asking.
What? I'm sure
because it's half of the O scale, and the O scale's fun.
What's half of 87? 43 and a half?
No, 87 is half.
Is half of the O scale?
Of the O scale, yeah. So whatever 87 times 2 is, nobody actually knows that.
It's impossible to find out.
Yeah.
Okay. Even the algorithm doesn't know.
Archimedes once tried to calculate it, but it was impossible.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right. Well, anyway, so social media, huh?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Paul, no, we're recording the after show, bro. Put your goddamn phone down. We're still recording.
I was dividing 87 by 2, and I'm like, yeah, 43.5.
Of course you
No, it's 87 times 2. It's half the O scale.
Whatever. We're going to talk. Disinterested. We were going to talk in the after show. Bunch of dicks. We were going to talk about the second segment. Okay, so this is specifically for Konrad and Justin. And now, because I've already asked Eric this, so Eric, you can feel free to like moderate this and like poke and prod.
Oh, that's what I do best.
This came up in our most recent episode of Barstool Confessions.
What the fuck was that word?
Episode.
He said episode.
That was the strangest Canadian accent I've ever heard in my life, dog.
I was looking at Konrad when I did it. This came up in episode 2 of Barstool Confessions, which is where Eric and I like surprise each other with like a very deep question that it will be very difficult to answer off the cuff. We kind of fuck with each other. I said, okay, Eric, and I'll say the same to you, Justin and Konrad. I'm like, Konrad, let's say, authenticity is important to you, correct?
Yeah.
And Justin, you seem like authenticity is like a big thing about your documentaries, correct?
It's like it's literally in the bio of my YouTube channel. Yeah.
Okay.
The word authenticity.
Okay. Now let's take that idea of authenticity and set it aside. Okay. Just like close the chapter on that. Like we agree. Okay. The 4 of us rather agree on that. Now let's consider social media as a second idea, completely independently. With social media, Justin, you know that this is important for the success of your YouTube channel, right? With especially with it going on Roku after, like it's on YouTube, and then it moves to the Roku networks, and that supports you monetarily, correct?
Yeah, helps
to some extent, not entirely, but a small portion of you, and of course, like. Your social media is like the front facing part of your business, right? And Konrad, you've engaged in social media probably a different way than most, but social media has played a role in your business without a doubt. I mean, I think you're very careful and you're very cagey about social media versus, compared to the average, quote unquote. So the question becomes, if authenticity is important to you, which we agreed, does the social media compromise in any way that authenticity?
I think it depends on the creator, the person, because I kind of, similar to Daddy Greenbacks here, have outside day job. So I know that my Instagram, for example, is not pleasing the algorithm. There's slow motion, cinematic, shallow focus shots, and a lot of photography. And we know that reels, typically shot on the phone with quick cuts, typically perform better. But that's not my brand. I want you to see my art as what it is. So, I don't know, it's challenging in that aspect. But for a lot of other people who don't have, who are full-time makers, social media is a very important avenue for promoting their work and paying the bills. So maybe for some people, compromising art in order to make money might be their prerogative. I'm not saying all makers by any means, but I do feel there are some who the content takes place over the art itself.
Konrad,
well, that brings up the question of is is the content the business itself? And if it is the business, then making an object, a piece of content, whatever it is, to a market, is that compromising authenticity, or is that fulfilling a market need?
That's a great question, Eric.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's an answer to that. I would say the answer is the latter, but that's fine. Konrad, you're
yeah. I can't remember when I joined Instagram, but I remember a conversation I had with somebody about it, and I had a blog for years and years that I really enjoyed. Long format, I could write all sorts of shit in it, and lots of people participated in it. It was great, but I saw that as wasn't an idiot and realized Instagram had just kind of arrived and the blog format was kind of trickling off. And a friend of mine said, Instagram is basically like a very short form blog. And when he described it that way, I thought, yeah, that I could probably get my head around. So I, kind of mentally thought every day, okay, is there something that I'm doing on any given day that's interesting enough that I could write a really short blog entry about it, aka Instagram? And pretty quickly realized that, yeah, I probably could. There was enough stuff that might be interesting to somebody. And so slowly kind of made that shift over to Instagram. But the motivation for it was really just to show how I do what I do and what it looks like. I mean, I'm not an idiot. A hand plane is a very photogenic thing. It's a small object. It photographs well. People recognize what it is. And so it checked a whole bunch of boxes that way. And so I figured I could probably, make that shift into that. But, it has never been about me. It's about the work. That was always really important to me, right from the very, very beginning. Like, I'm important from the standpoint of I have a relationship with this customer, but that's it. That's a one-to-one thing. In a social setting, in a social media setting, for me, it's here's a photograph of what I'm working on. My hands might be in it, but this is what I'm doing. This is what it looks like. Here's a process. Might talk about it, explain it. But, I do not want to be the center of attention, because that to me that's a line that I'm not interested in going over.
Eric, can you speak to that? So we know social media is many things.
I knew we're not going to brand pick on me after he said that.
Yeah, because
speaking of center
it's about me.
No, it's not. But Konrad brings up such a good point. It's like his version of how to use social media it's about the object. And Eric, you and I both know that videos with people, front-facing cameras, talking to the camera, building those relationships one-to-one, like I'm looking at you, like you're looking at me, right? Like that is what engages people in social media. So can you speak to your different take on it?
Well, ironically, I had the exact same take on it for a very long time. I like all of my early Instagram posts, even in my stories, I never spoke. I would be on camera doing a thing sometimes, but more often it was close-ups of the work, because I wanted it to be about the work and not about me. And that was something that I was, it was really uncomfortable for me to make any piece of content about me and not about what I was doing. And over time, and once I was forced to kind of leave work for the Netflix show and then figure out how to pay my mortgage for a year while doing social media and content creation, because that was the path of least resistance. Then it became like understanding that I could try to find a balance where it was me in front of the camera being a human being, but relaying the story of the thing that I'm doing. And I'm not saying I've done this really well all the time. for the entirety of my career, especially once I started doing YouTube. There's a lot of it's the beginner's journey of like you're trying to do a thing and you're just like throwing things out and seeing what works, and then sometimes you do a thing and you go like looking back on it 2 years later, you're like, I wish I hadn't done that, like that doesn't feel right now. But at the time I didn't know better. I was just trying to figure out how to do YouTube. But what I found over time is that there can be a balance to be had of kind of taking the concept that you were just saying, Conrad, of there was a blog, and then a plane is a very photogenic thing. A piece of furniture is a very photogenic thing, at least on the scale that I'm making it. And I could essentially write a blog post. Like that's what we were doing in like 2016, 2017, 2018 on Instagram, is like long fucking texts, a couple of photos, maybe a video, maybe. Now how I see my relationship with content is very similar, except the text has become spoken word. Like it's me narrating the blog post, essentially, if we can phrase it that way. But it's now I'm in a comfortable spot of, I know my audience knows me, and I can put out a video and it can kind of be about nothing, but it's the thing that I'm working on. Like the video I'm going to put out on Saturday is about the stave core door construction. And it's literally just me making the stave cores for this door I'm working on. And admittedly, there's no story arc. It's just like, hey guys, I got to get shit done this week. So like, come fucking hang and I'll teach you about stave cores.
This is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's not a good video, but it's hopefully like there's enough information there with those people, and it feels very much like a blog post. It feels very much like, here's what I'm working on in the shop, here's why I'm working on it, here's the commission, here's the aim, and here is part one of what I'm going to do, and this is all I got time to do, guys.
Eric, there's a large
and so hopefully the aim still remains around the work, even though I am a speaking head figure. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. There's a lot of people, though, I know, like, speaking of storytelling, like, if you think about why people are watching your channel or your videos or your stories, some of them are watching because they're interested in what you're making, and some of them are interested because it's you. It's that simple. They want to see what Eric's doing today. What is it like to be a full-time woodworker?
100%.
What's Eric doing today? I love Eric. I love his devil may care attitude. I like the way he
there's the romance of it. 100%. No, and that's totally fair.
No.
Okay.
Let me
go ahead. Finish your point.
So, if you talk about the story, like if we believe in storytelling, it's not only about the story of the object. It's the story of the individual, where they are with their life, what they're doing with their Saturday, what they're doing. I mean, I think just as many people are interested in your life as a person as they are with your objects as a maker. So I think people watch your stories for different reasons.
I think that's fair, but I don't think that's any different from saying the reason people read Conrad's blog is because he's a good writer and a good photographer, and he has a beautiful shop and it's well lit, and there's the romance of like, what does a woodworker and a plane maker's life look like? That's what I want my life to look like. It's just a different vehicle. It's the same reason people write Jesus fucking Christ. It's the same reason that people read Krenov's books. Like, there's no information that's going to make you a better woodworker in a cabinet maker's notebook. It's just a fucking old Swedish guy rambling on for 90 fucking pages about nothingness. And yet, I still read that book probably once a year. Because there's something in the like,
I wouldn't say it's nothing.
There's something in the magic there.
Yeah.
But it kind of is, right? He's just when
I
was a boy, this is how the world works.
No, he's making you feel more connected to the process and the emotions of like wood selection, right? That kind of stuff, as opposed to
he's talking about journey, not destination.
Yeah, in Paul, I agree with the point that you're making, that there are people who watch the videos I put out, even when they're not good videos, because they are fans, for lack of a better word.
Okay.
But like, it's you also bought a plane from Konrad because you were a fan of him and his work
both.
and the thought
It's
that he
both.
puts in, right?
It's both. It's I got a twofer.
It's both.
I got a twofer with him. Like, I've gotten to know him personally, and I think, like, fuck, what an amazing human being I met. Like, how lucky am I? And I own his plane, and I'm supposed to own another, but he's never gonna fucking get to that because I'm 800 on the list of 20,000 people.
Well.
But
so I think this is where the frustration with social media and authenticity comes in a lot with folks. Is it can be a really useful tool. Justin tells really genuine stories, authentic stories about other people, and he has a very clear voice. He's having these long, drawn-out intros that are 30 to 60 seconds long before anybody speaks a goddamn word. Nobody, like, the fucking click out rate on that has got to be immense, right?
It's bad. It doesn't look good.
But that's not the point of the video. The point is to tell the story that you set out to tell.
Justin, I want to tell you that Vicky said to me, my wife, for those of you who don't know Vicky, she said to me, Justin's channel, like, meaning on Instagram, is really fucking good. His stories are always interesting. She loves your content. Whatever you're posting to your stories, like whether it's about friends or making shit or I don't know, horse shittery. She loves what you post to your stories. And she's not a woodworker. She just finds the humanity of your stories to be very entertaining. I just thought I'd tell you that.
Well, that's cool. That's nice.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
But
I always feel like my stories are stupid.
You tell good stories. I love your fucking stories. You're good at photos. You're good at videos, etc. But
wait, are we talking about Instagram stories like the feature? Or
I have a question for all three of you. I have a question for all three of you. Okay. All three of you. Do you watch Instagram stories?
Yeah.
Yes. That's more or less all I do on Instagram at this point.
Okay. Are you looking for content, meaning like, this is what I'm working on, just hands making the thing? Or when you see a front-facing post where they're talking to the camera and explaining something, how do you react? Each of you, I would like your what do you prefer? What's your reaction? Eric, let's start with you. And we'll go to Justin, then we'll go to Konrad.
I feel like I engage with stories in a weird way, which is I typically don't watch more than like 2 to 3 people's stories in a row. And then I dip the fuck out. But if I see, like, it's got to be visual. It's visual. It's a visual platform primarily, audio platform secondarily. So even though I do a lot of talking head sections in my stories, if I see that, I'm probably not listening to it. And I'm probably, like, if it's a friend, I'll put my phone down and let it ride.
Okay.
You know, give them the view. But I'm not engaging with it. Like, I'm not paying attention to what they're doing.
So it's got to be visual or gone.
Yeah, it's a visual platform first and foremost.
All right, Justin?
I'm looking at my phone. If it was audio, I'd be listening to a podcast.
I think I have a similar enough answer to Eric, and I'm also coming at it from a perspective of somebody who's not coming at woodworking from maybe like an analytical or like I'm still excited about it, but there's still so much of me that has a ton to learn. Believe it or not, guys. I know it's a shock, but I still got a ways to go. So, you know, someone's deep diving into something, it's all a foreign language to me. So that kind of thing I won't stick around for, but I do really enjoy personal things. Like, that's what I'm like, well, turn the volume on, you know, to Eric's point. Like, I have my volume off all the time. You know, I have a day job that I'm working. I'm not listening in the office with the volume on at all. But, you know, it's especially if it's a friend or, you know, somebody I'm intrigued by, and they're sharing some spice, some juice, you know.
That's a fair point. When I see the green circle, like when we post close friend stories, I'm way more apt to actually like look at it and look for the actual close friend story and pay attention to that.
I think
because often that's where the real humanity is.
Interesting. I think I've just come to find that like within the last like couple of weeks, like my engagement on my stories go up when I post to close friends.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy DiResta doesn't watch my stories. But when I post to close friends, he watches all of them.
Justin, you posted a green story today, and I recall being I recall thinking, I wonder what it is. And High Noon followed you. That's what it was.
Hell yeah.
That's all it was. But you had to get through all my stories to get there.
But there's a weird like psychological thing that happens though, where it's like if you put that on a public story, it feels like, look at me, I'm so cool. High Noon followed me.
Right.
But you put that in a close friend story, and immediately my reaction was like, well, fucking yeah, they did. Fucking of course, that's my boy.
I had the same reaction.
It's not for Gen Pop.
Yeah, it's not self-congratulatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is in the sense of my friends, but like, it feels weird to post something like that to like, hey, guess what, everybody? You're not everybody.
Conrad, how do you engage with it, buddy?
Yeah, if it's somebody that I know or am interested in their work, I will usually see what they're doing. But if I see honestly, if I see a person, Paul will probably laugh. If I go to somebody's page and they've got their their top 9 things, if their face is in 4 or more of them, fuck that noise. I will not follow. It's not. I don't want to see you. I want to see what the fuck you do. Like that's why I'm using this. That's why I'm using social media. I want to see what people are doing. If you've got a 10-minute video on this thing that you're working on, and I appreciate and admire your work, I will sit and watch the whole goddamn thing because I'm interested.
Eric, how many did you say? Sorry, Conrad. How many did you say?
How many did you say?
4. 4 is the cutoff.
Let's go.
I will say.
4.
I think.
Nah, he said top 9 though. That was in the top 12. Let's be fair.
In the top 9, I think I've got 2 or maybe 3 exceptions to the rule. In the entire,
I'm an exception, baby.
Eric is an exception. Yeah, absolutely.
So here's the interesting thing though, is like I largely operate exactly the same, but social media isn't a like contributor to my business in that like I'm making a lot of objects. Social media is my business.
Right.
And knowing that like, so once you dive into the deep world of like algorithms and who's posting like fake content and who's posting bullshit, there's so many aggregators of content that they never show faces because they try to remove faces from those contents. And then like, so essentially what you're doing by showing your face is showing people that you're a real human being and not like in this moment, you're not like AI. It's not just fake shit. So there's a humanity level to the masses that applies there that doesn't actually apply to you and I because we're more interested in the work than we are in the human.
Right. Yeah. Eric, I totally see what I completely understand what you're saying. I've received a lot of feedback because my feed on Instagram is primarily not me ever on my dedicated feed.
Yep.
And I've been encouraged to post more. And I do find that when I post
Who?
myself, yeah, I don't know, psychos. But when I do, they tend to get more likes, and not to give myself a pat on the back or whatever. It's like people do like to feel connected to who they're following.
Yeah,
that's what I'm getting.
People like to feel like they're supporting a person and not a business entity.
Sure.
And that's the tricky thing, right? So like Conrad, your business is the things that you make, and you get that one-to-one interaction, you get that human interaction when the piece is made, maybe during the making of the object. But as somebody making content, we don't get that opportunity. And so the human interaction, even though it's parasocial, becomes like them seeing our face and knowing that we are a human being, and like talking to camera and fucking it up and making fun of ourselves for like saying the wrong thing at the wrong time and it being unscripted. All of that is what makes it.
It's part of it.
Human.
I get it. I get that. Yeah.
But I also think that there is part of the animosity, and this is completely warranted, to social media, is that there are a lot of people who follow all of those steps and gain a lot of traction and influence who don't actually have any skill because they've never developed that skill. But so this is the tricky thing, right? Because they're used, and I'm not trying to pick on anybody individually, but I'm just trying to draw the comparison of like, the tricky thing is they are proven steps to grow an audience and also then to grow a business. And if you have skill and you are using it as a tool to make money so that you can continue to make objects, continue to make art, continue to make music, whatever the fucking thing is, videos,
right.
Like, great, all's well that ends well. Like, you now have a means of income and you can continue your pursuit of your art, and everybody wins again.
Right.
But if you don't have any skill and your aim is just simply to grow an audience, you can also still follow those steps. And a lot of people don't have the ability to discern between the two.
That's exactly. Yeah, that's the problem, is that people can't critique. They can't look at something, at anything, and objectively critique it and evaluate it. Not because it's too distracting to see 110,000 followers or whatever the big bullshit number is. They can't see that number. They assume that, they must be good. They've got that many people following.
Right.
It doesn't mean a fucking thing. Be able to actually look at what they're doing and look at it objectively and evaluate, is this good or not? Is it interesting? Do you engage with it? Are you curious about it? Is whatever it is. But I don't know where that's taught anymore, or how people learn that skill.
You'd be surprised how easy it is to learn a skill when this skill that you want to learn is how to become famous.
Eric.
Yeah, well, so I think for me, my four faces rule is my shorthand of just cutting that out. Just get rid of it. I'm just not even interested. Like, there's lots of accounts that like if anybody comments on a post that I've done, if I don't recognize the name, I will take the 5 or 10 minutes, follow it through.
I'm already out. 5 or 10 minutes?
Whatever.
I don't have 5 or 10 minutes.
Eric,
to do
I
anything.
told you, Konrad is cut from a different cloth, dude.
I will take the time to just scroll through and see who they are and what they're about. And if it's interesting, then I'll pay attention to that. Or, also if somebody comments, I don't know who they are, like, at least say thanks Bill or thanks Lisa or whatever. Take the time to figure out who they are, get their first name, because it's a conversation. It's an opportunity. Again, I'm trying to push the door open. I'll crack more.
This is.
You guys are shaking your heads. And I'm like, I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna go into their profiles and start calling them
and
out.
This is. I mean, listen. In like.
Somebody took the time to write a comment.
See, we're coming from different places.
No, I'm with Konrad.
I love the idealistic world that you have built, like, in this situation, and I don't mean that condescendingly.
No,
like it's like you have culled the shit away and out of your life to the point where there's not all of the extra noise, and that's fucking beautiful. The world that I inhabit at this moment in time as a 37-year-old person who exists with social media as their primary driver of income, is the amount of dumb shit that comes across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. And then the amount of stupid fucking conversations that happen between people in my feed.
Right.
That just like, and so it all comes back to me. I see all of those notifications, and then they're like screaming at each other about whatever the fuck it is, fucking Billy in Tucson, Arizona, and how he got autism from a fucking vaccine. It's like, I don't know. It was a fucking dovetail video. Like, what are we doing?
So maybe it's like a new level that I reach when people start arguing in my feed, because I've unfortunately never had that. So like mine is just like, oh wow, nice picture. So I'd love to be like, this is great.
So this reminds me of, when you're taking on a furniture commission or any type of a commission, and the customer thinks that they are interviewing you to find out if you're going to be the right person that they're going to give their money to. A lot of the time they don't, for me at least, they don't realize I'm interviewing them just as much.
Yeah, 100%.
If it starts smelling,
that's funny.
If it starts,
I didn't know that.
If it starts smelling fishy, I implement the
out.
exit strategy immediately. Because if I'm busy doing that, if I'm busy holding a hand I don't really want to hold, that means I can't spend that 5 or 10 minutes looking through, this person, Lisa, who I don't know, commented on my post. It frees up the time for me to do that. And there have been a few times where randomly doing that, I've actually developed actual friendships with people through some comment on Instagram. That's
Konrad.
That to me is the fulfillment of the promise of social media.
Eric, he breaks that I have a habit of creating fake fan profiles and commenting on people's social media, right, buddy?
Hashtag Phineas Tournament.
We all gotta have hobbies, okay?
Konrad, you break the mold for me, buddy.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
it's good. It's good. It's so good.
I think my bullshit meter has broken. That's part of the problem. I just have no more tolerance for all the stupidity, because there's so much awesome shit out there that I want to cut through the bullshit and get to all the good stuff as fast as I can.
I don't think that is a problem. I mean, I think that's the goal in life, right? And that's what I mean. Like when I was picking on you earlier, that's why I don't mean it like derisively. You found a way to minimize your interactions to the point where the interactions that do come in that are surprising are engaging. Like they could potentially be meaningful, and so you have the time and the space to explore that. Whereas at least at this moment in my life, I don't have that time and space.
Eric, part of that is where on the funnel you are, right? We've talked about the funnel, right? Like at the top of the funnel is like all the, funnel being like level of expertise or whatever, let's say. And at the top of the funnel is most of the woodworkers, because very, and as you get down towards the bottom of the funnel, it's a very few people have that advanced expertise, right? I think Konrad, on the basis,
I don't think it's. I don't think it's expertise.
Please,
I think
please
you
hold.
can deliver.
Please hold.
I think.
Please hold. Konrad, the price of your planes and
I've never seen him shush you before.
I mean, like, come on, Konrad, come on, like, come on.
He literally just like, shh.
Come on, let me make this point. Let me make this point.
That was Big Daddy Greenback's energy right there, buddy. By the way, speaking of, you can make this point, but I do, since everybody watching this is a patron, I do have Old Daddy Greenback shirt that is exclusively for our Patreon if you're watching the video feed right now. I did not approve this by Paul. So if you want Paul's face on the Old Daddy Greenbacks, baby, you go purchase it on Bonfire right now.
Oh, that is so good.
Goddamn right I did. You can get them in green. You can get them in blue. What do you want? What you want, guys?
It's gotta be green. We'll get it green.
Damn, that's some merch.
I'm horrified. What the fuck?
I've always want copper pig merch.
God damn
God,
right.
Eric, you're the literal worst. When did you make that T-shirt?
I made it a couple weeks ago. I've been holding on to it. Go ahead, finish your point, though, brother.
That is so good.
I'm stunned silent, you fucking fuck. Oh my God, that's amazing.
You know how hard it was to find a shot of you where you were looking at camera head on?
Oh my God.
And this is why, hey guys, this is why photos on Instagram of your face on your profile are important, okay?
Oh my God.
This is why.
Eric, I feel violated. Okay. I'm going to have to regroup to make my point to Conrad. Conrad, before I shushed you aggressively, I was making the point that your planes and their price point puts you in a group where, like, the arguing on Eric's profile on YouTube, they're kind of excluded. I don't think they're going to be buying your planes. So honestly, I think your product and the price point of it has already separated a lot of wheat from the chaff. That was the point I was getting to. Whereas Eric gets everything. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. But I also think that on the funnel, you can make a choice to say whether you're expertise or not. You can say, I'm drawing a line here because for my own sanity and I want to make a change. So I'm going to draw this line here. I'm going to do things differently and see what happens. And if it ends up, altering things in a way that I like, I get more out of it, or whatever you're trying to accomplish. I don't think you can reduce it down to just expertise. I mean, you're right. Price point can influence that. You can certainly, you and I've talked a lot about pricing.
A lot of the shitheads who are doing like shit on Eric's profiles and Eric comment sections of his YouTube videos are not going to pony up a few $1,000s for a plane. They're just not. They're and if they were, I don't think they'd be
sure. Or for a piece of that, or for a piece that Eric's made.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the nature. It's the nature of that level of exposure, really.
Yeah.
And Eric, I would argue that the nature of your videos is already moving down the funnel. You and Keith are particularly two that come to mind, where you two are YouTubers, but you're not at the top of the funnel, like trying to get all the weekend warriors. You're actually putting out content that appeals to a much more
so this is
sophisticated group.
And this is the kind of tricky part of it, or maybe it's an evolution, although evolution insinuates that it's getting better over time. And I don't want yes, early on I already made mention of the fact that, like, there are some videos that I have out there that I'm like, I wish I hadn't taken that approach, like, it's not that it's embarrassing, but it's very clearly like a learning curve, a learning moment in that video of, like, here's what I did wrong. Here's how I baited people in a way that, like, I wouldn't do now.
Okay.
And as time has gone on, I've refined that, but this is the weird duality of it, is like the exposure to the broad end of that tunnel by doing those things brought in enough people where what I'm doing now is sustainable, even though it's further down the funnel.
Right.
So
even though you don't like it, it was like an important step in the process.
It's both personally as a learning experience on how to make good videos, but also, like, from an exposure standpoint, that brought in enough people where now I can make a video about, like, the last video I put out was me making the cabinet for Sarah. And it's just like, I'm getting married to this woman. She's an incredible woman. She deserves a handmade piece of furniture, because that's how I express love and affection. And that's what we're doing this week. That's it. There's 7 fucking people who are going to watch that video. And yet somehow, it's at 40,000 views. So, like, but that's only because a broader reach has happened early on, where people will dip back in now because they're comfortable with where I'm at as a maker, as a content creator.
That's longevity / survival, that you've been doing it long enough. and its reputation. Those
Sure.
Those are the elements as to why that's happening. I mean, that's why, any of us have stuck around, following somebody that we might have started following 10 years ago. We're still following them because they do enough stuff consistently that continues to check those boxes of, whenever I see your stuff or Paul's stuff or whatever, whenever I see certain people's stuff show up, I'm going to take the time because I know them. I either appreciate their work. I know that it's consistently enough good content that I'm going to get something out of it or enjoy it. And that only comes from time. Like, you've been doing it for a long time now, or long enough, right?
Yeah. Long enough. And I think, like, when we talk about people who, how am I going to phrase this? I think this is a good point, but I realized before I said it that it might come out the wrong way. What I was going to say is, when we talk about people like learning the craft and getting better with time, we talk about somebody like Justin. So you see how I paused and realized
that he's sitting right,
the same
right there.
But like Justin, like, you had a lot of us like objectively make fun of you for taking so long to hit 10,000 followers on Instagram, right? Like, you've been making videos for what, 7 years? Something like that.
Yeah. It's
7, 8 years, six to 8 years, somewhere in that range. It's been a fucking while.
Yeah.
And you've made a lot of them. And you, I feel like, are now at a point where we look at your body of work and we're like, fuck, that guy is good. Because, Konrad, to your point, it's a consistency. And it's a consistent growth where each one gets a little bit better. And it's not linear, right? Like,
that's right.
That's the creative process.
Yeah.
But we look now at your body of work and we go like, fuck, this guy is really good at telling these human stories. And then we look back on your earlier work and we see it through the lens of your later work, and it makes the earlier work better because we see the growth that happens over time. So, like, that the exposure to that body of work is really important. And does that happen for you without social media?
No. Well, does what happen?
Does your ability to continue to make documentaries over the course of, say, 7 years, 35 documentaries?
Yeah.
Does that happen without the consistent exposure through social media and making a little bit of money here and there through YouTube or Roku to reinvest in that business? Like, is that a positive feedback loop for you?
Well, I told myself right when I started that as long as I told myself I'd give myself a year, that as long as I was still having fun and not losing money, I would keep doing it. Not necessarily losing too much money, but because I was definitely losing money. I don't know if. That's a really difficult question for me to answer, actually. I said no pretty confidently, but
I can answer that question, and I'm not even related to it.
Yeah,
because so from my perspective, the reason for doing a thing is because sometimes you don't actually know what it is that you're looking for. So for Justin, exposure to all of these different makers, the possibility of meeting somebody or a thing or a craft or a whatever that for him is like, holy shit, I didn't even know this existed, but this is really checking all the boxes for me. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. For me, that is all omnipresent. It is always there, which is why I'm happy to listen to anybody talk about anything, because you don't know what you don't know. I might meet somebody that tells me that they're really into turnips. I know nothing about fucking turnips. But if they're all horny for turnips and they can articulate that.
Horny for turnips is the t-shirt of this episode.
But you know what I mean? Like, that's like, to me, that is the mystery and the intrigue of doing all of this stuff. Is you never know who you're going to meet and what amazing story or amazing thing they might introduce you to that could completely change or re-guide your path. I mean, that's an amazing thing. The possibility of that's amazing. And so if I were in your shoes, Justin, I'd be thinking, oh my God, I can't talk to enough people. What an amazing
no kidding.
What an amazing opportunity that is.
Yeah, I totally, that is where I come from. Yeah, I agree.
So Justin, I've noticed you've been making more lately, and you have a maker space in Salem. Is that correct?
I do now. Yes, I do.
So is this a byproduct of what Konrad was like? Is
what
this
the fuck
is
was
this
that voice?
I was just my like, yeah, I got there, guys.
So Konrad was just saying, like, you know, being surrounded by all these passionate individuals, is this what has like fostered like an unexpected love of getting dirty and making shit?
Or trains?
Oh, totally. Yeah, or trains. Yeah, but frankly, I wouldn't have had the confidence to get into the trains without the maker community, because there were tools necessary to create it, and also a level of confidence, blah, blah, blah. Trains, absolutely. Everything else, absolutely. It's like I've been observing of it enough now that I'm like, okay, I understand how that, you know, to a degree, how that tool works, you know, the safe and unsafe ways to use it, respect it. Yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes, absolutely. I'm totally. I know this isn't what you were asking or what you were seeking, but I am 100% inspired by you guys.
Well, I gotta be honest.
Horny for turnips.
I'm horny for turnips. I'm so horny for turnips. I can't stop thinking about them. And I mean, what's even cooler too is my girlfriend. We've been dating for a little over a year now. Right when we started dating, she wanted to make a point to watch all of my documentaries from start to finish. Very generous of her, generous with her time. I mean, she has no woodworking background other than taking shop class in high school, which she did enjoy, and she is lucky to even be offered that. I was not offered that, but hey, too loud and dusty anyway. Nonetheless, she watched all the documentaries, and very soon after, probably a year ago this month, finished her first slab table. You know, it's got pin hairpin legs and whatnot, but she finished a table, man. That's cool. She'd like start to finish. I would offer what help, air quotes, I could give, and you know, she wanted to do it all on her own. I'd give my advice and whatnot, or when she would ask for help, you know, I can give my input, but she did it completely on her own, and she was so inspired by all of you guys. And that was so cool that like my best friends, these people who mean so much to me, were, you know, to use the word catalyst again, were the catalyst to her now becoming a maker herself.
I mean,
that's cool.
I have had a similar experience with Sarah. In that, like, before we met, before we got together, she was not a maker of anything. Like, she didn't have a craft. She didn't have a hobby in which she was creating physical objects. And now she has taken multiple classes. She has made multiple boxes. She's really interested in jewelry making now. Like, she said to me on multiple occasions, like, she never knew people who were so passionate about what they do, and that passion is infectious to a degree. And now she's like, well, I want to see what excites me in that same way.
Oh, I love that.
That's a really interesting place to be in life, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The passion is infectious. That's why I got into it. That's why Morgan got into it. Sounds like that's why Sarah got into it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's so cool. It's so much fun.
And Vicky just started beekeeping, and I'm like all into bees now.
Hell yeah.
Like, I sit out there
and
I watch the bees. I sit out there at lunch and I like watch the bees, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool that my wife's into beekeeping all of a sudden. She took a class. She gets out there in the fucking little space cadet uniform and like smoke. You know. I mean, you're right. It's just passion, whether it's turnips or bees or woodworking, is infectious.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're at almost another hour, you motherfuckers. So we may spin this into a completely second episode, in which case we're going to have a second segment of Justin. You came with 5 questions to this original episode 2 hours ago. You came with 5 questions for us, and we're going to be forced to answer them short form, Konrad. Did you hear that? Short form.
I came with questions because you kind of forced me to.
We're going to call
I've never been asked to do homework before a podcast, so...
Oh, bitch,
God.
please.
Yeah. Now just imagine what it's like co-hosting with this motherfucker. All right.
Believe me, I would never.
Okay, we're going to call this the lightning round, and Justin, you're the host. Ready? Go.
Have you ever struggled to tell your own story? What held you back? Eric, go.
Yes, for a long time, because I was afraid of I don't even know what it was. Just being self-conscious. Like I didn't know how to articulate my story in a way that wasn't self-congratulatory, and so I didn't want to do it.
Paul.
Yes, I struggled telling my own story because I wasn't sure what it was. And until you approached me and forced me to crystallize my thinking, I had never done the hard work to put it into a framework.
Konrad, do you relate?
No.
What's your sexual interest in beets or whatever we said? Radishes? What was it? I forgot what we even said.
Turnips. It was turnips.
Horny for turnips. Horny for turnips.
Close enough. Do you think storytelling plays a role in pricing and perceived value of your work? Konrad, go.
Absolutely. Yeah,
More.
It does. Like it, level of engagement, the experience. Anybody is usually drawn into an experience, and when it's an experience that they've never had before, that has value, and often people will equate that to a monetary value. And so, if that's something that you can include or provide in addition to the widget that you're making, that has value and monetary value for a lot of people, and it's not a negative.
Short answers, Konrad.
Oh,
short answers.
Sorry.
A lot of ands and buts on there.
Hey, but as a consumer and a consumer of woodworking pieces, I totally agree. Paul, go.
Absolutely. A widget is just a widget until it's got a story behind it. Point in case, the Pope Valuables cabinet from the late 1600s sold for $2.1 million. Why? Because of the story behind it. Otherwise, it's just a piece of wood.
Daddy Eric?
Oh,
Bam.
Yes. The story absolutely increases the value because otherwise, if somebody sees a piece that I made that has all of these details or decisions in it, and they don't understand the time it took for me to make those decisions and why I made those decisions, then it's just overpriced. But if they, and this is where videos come in handy, if they see the videos or hear the story of me actually doing the thing and struggling with it, then the price becomes justified. That was still shorter than your answer.
God damn it.
I zoned out. I don't know what.
Wait, Justin, you didn't answer the question, motherfucker. Go ahead,
motherfucker.
Whoa, dude, I'm the host, brother. I don't have to answer these.
Dude,
He's
as
not
the
used to
host,
not being in the
as
host
the
chair.
host, I answer the question. Justin, why does the price increase? Does the price increase the price point? Or sorry, the story increase the price point?
Sorry, what was the question, Paul?
Yeah,
Why does the
Paul doesn't even know what we're talking
does
about.
the point price increase?
But if I can answer this, like I said, as a consumer, it truly does. Like if I know who made it and their story, that is so cool to me because now I can share that with somebody who goes, what is that box with those curly pieces of wood? And I go, have you ever heard of steam bending? And like, that's fun to me because most people haven't. Not like normal people, not you guys. You guys are all used to it. It's still fun.
Justin.
Anyway, moving on.
Justin, no.
Yes.
Justin, have you ever struggled to tell your own story?
Oh, I hate talking about myself. I purposely redirect. So question number 3.
No fucking way. No way. I'm not letting you do that. I'm so locked in on you like a laser beam. Answer.
Yeah, I mean, when people at work ask me, what'd you do last weekend? I still try to put it on them. I don't know why. Just I'm not good at talking about myself.
Why is there not a maker documentary about you?
I can't wait for the video footage of him just in a mirror with the camera pointed back at himself.
Yeah.
And he's interviewing himself.
But in slow motion. It's got to be in slow motion.
Justin, I will take the video footage. I will ask the questions of you for your maker documentary.
That would be way too intense.
No, it's going to happen. Go ahead. Question 3.
Oh, gosh. Question 3. Still on the topic of storytelling. At least I want it to be. Do you prefer content that shows perfection or process, or something more personal, but perfection or process? How do you feel? We'll go with Eric.
Perfection.
Interesting. Okay.
I know how to build shit. I want to aspire to things. I want the puzzle of figuring out how and why they did it.
I find that interesting because I would find that content would normally perform worse than showing the process of making.
Oh, it will perform worse, 100%.
Yeah.
But that's like the content that I create versus the content I consume are different.
Yeah. Okay. Totally. Yeah.
Interesting.
Paul?
I have historically shown the perfection of the final product. It has failed miserably in social media. And because I knew that, I started showing more process. And then because I feel that authenticity is super important, I share more of the why and the emotional storytelling behind it lately.
Yeah. Konrad?
Yeah, I used to show a lot more process, but kind of got sick and tired of it. So just show more finished stuff because it's easier, frankly, which is probably lazy on my part. But
interesting.
I tend to be more drawn into process.
Okay.
Konrad,
I'd be perfection as well. I'd be with Eric on this.
Go ahead. So perfection.
Why?
Sorry? No, for myself, I tend to just post finished stuff as opposed to I used to post a lot more process stuff, but nobody seems to really care about it anymore. So the algorithm makes me insane, but yeah.
All right, 2 questions real quick. Justin, why do you only do perfection? And Konrad, being is the fact that you're such a huge proponent of storytelling, why do you not tell more stories on your social media? Justin, you go first.
I think that, I don't know, my answer is less interesting because I come from a place of ignorance. So it's more interesting for me to see a copper pig puzzle box and how to get through it than here's how I made this miter and I did this dovetail and this and that. I'm saying words I don't even know what they mean. Just kidding.
It sounds good.
But yeah, woo. But yeah, no. If I were to see a Konrad plane, that to me is going to be more shiny and beautiful and sexy than all right, now here's a video shot on my phone, and you're going to spend 30 seconds of your time, and we all know Konrad's got 5 minutes to spend on strangers all day long.
So Konrad, given as though you like to spend time on strangers, why do you show so little storytelling in your social media?
Because I choose to spend my time storytelling with the customers that I'm working with at any given moment.
Got it.
It's a better use of my time. And it is my business. That's what I'm doing. And so that has always been the focus. It's just, doing it via social media. I don't know. I've kind of lost a little bit of interest in it. I don't know. I'm not sure why, but
good answer. Go
That's
ahead,
fair.
Justin.
Yeah.
Do you think the maker community is getting better or worse at authentic storytelling as it grows? Paul.
Worse. As more people,
I knew you were gonna say
as
that.
more people start to try and use social media as an income generator, the lowest common denominator gets lower, and the level of skill drops and drops and drops, and it's very upsetting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the authenticity, the word we keep using, it gets less and less. It's more for clicks, in my opinion. But Eric,
Konrad, you go first.
all right.
Okay.
I have you, Eric. But
That's fine. I actually don't know because I don't follow that many makers actually. Like, I mean, there are people who are making things, but it's usually completely unrelated to woodworking. So it's just in other areas, in other realms, and usually it's people that I know. Just because it's just too many people to manage, frankly. It's a time thing.
That's fair. It is a time thing. It's impossible to follow that many people. I think it might be both. I think it's getting less authentic in that the formula for success is becoming codified. And so people can follow that and they can just be a personality and not a human. But also, it's now reached a point where it is no longer like a niche thing. Like being a content, we don't call it influencer anymore, right? We call it content creator. It's less derogatory. And so it's becoming more mainstream. And we are realizing the value, even if you are not a full-time content creator, the value of it toward your business. And because the barrier of entry is still so low, I think that there are more people who are authentically themselves on social media than there ever have been. But those people don't garner large audiences often, right? Because the formula is now codified for how to grow an audience. Yeah. So both things are happening simultaneously.
Yeah. Interesting. So as a follow-up to that, I probably on like the amount of time that I'm on Instagram, I bet you 3/4 of that time is spent interacting with individuals via DM. Versus
me too.
Scrolling and doing whatever else. So that's going back to that one-to-one connection. And the number of times where, meeting somebody on Instagram, which sounds insane to say that out loud, but then actually meeting them in person, and then you pick up where you left off and continue via Instagram. That happens enough that I don't flush the whole thing down the toilet.
I mean,
because
Two out of the 3 of you I met on Instagram for the first time, and then we met in person. And the person I'm about to marry, I met on Instagram first. Right. And then, so like,
I know
it is a real vehicle for human interaction.
Absolutely. That's exactly, which is why I don't flush it, because it happens enough where you have actual, meaningful, genuine human connections that turn into something tangible and real. Which is why I don't toss it.
Dang.
All right. Well,
is that the last question?
We've been recording for 2.5 fucking hours.
So episode.
Eric's cutting off the 5th.
Is this episode?
Was that the 4th question?
Is this episode 4?
Oh, my bad.
Are we at episode 4?
All right. Hit us with the 5th question.
All right, we'll make it quick. And Eric, you're answering first because you deferred to Konrad, and this is your punishment. What's one maker story, but it can be related to tools, a piece, anything you want. What's one maker story that stuck with you and why?
Oh, boy. I don't know that I have a good answer for that. That's a really hard question. I genuinely
it's difficult
don't
to
know
pick
that
one too. Because there could be so many.
Oh.
Okay, I can let you think if anybody else has an answer, or if not, I can speak real quick.
Go ahead, Justin. Go if you have an answer.
I think a maker story that stuck with me is our buddy, listener of the podcast, Larry Tkachuk. I heard his story on a separate podcast, a musician's podcast, years and years ago. And his son is a touring musician and tragically lost his leg in a tour bus accident with a semi-truck. Fairly gnarly. And with hospitals' help and even a doctor who's a drummer himself and dedicated to getting his son back to his career path, it just wasn't working out. But Larry just would not let his son give up his dream and his career and his lifestyle. So Larry came up with, he's got this woodworking background and was a hobbyist woodworker and came up with something fairly rudimentary that he would end up developing into something that now his son and the rest of the band are back touring internationally constantly. Wow. And I think that's such a rad thing. That was a podcast I heard before the pandy happened, and years went by. It was probably the longest just waiting around episode that ever happened. It took a long time to actually come to life, but it happened, and that one really sticks with me because that's father-son bond. I don't know. It was really cool.
A comment about Larry as a person. So I reached out to him saying I enjoyed his episode, and he started chatting with me a la KONRAD SAUER, who chats with everyone in this loose boundary, meaningful way. And Larry took a vested interest in my work, and recently he sent me a care package. It came in the mail. He's like, I want to send you something. And I opened it, and it was all the makings of a shaker oval box. And he's like, I think you could reinvent this form, and I wanted to give you like a head start. Like, I didn't want you like, here's the wood, here's the bending forms, here's the copper tacks, here's everything you need. And it came in a box. And Larry gave me that gift because he believed in my ability to reimagine classical forms. And he wanted to see what I would do with it out of the goodness of his heart, just out of nowhere. He's an amazing person.
Wow.
But he heard your story, dude, and he admires you.
But Justin, who does shit like that? Like that is so.
Oh, I know. Larry's a great guy. Yeah, Larry's the best. We could.
Paul, you're the type of person who does shit like that.
Yeah, but Eric, there's few, and so is Conrad and Justin, all of us. But it's so few and far between. So when you meet someone like that, you're just in awe of their generosity.
Sure,
and you feel so appreciative to know these people.
Yeah, but the best response for any of us that have been on the receiving end of that is to just pay it all forward.
Yeah,
I mean that's because you can't. I don't know. I've been the recipient of stuff like that so many times, and you can't even put a monetary value on that. All I can do is just try and find a way to pay it forward for somebody else because that's the only option there is. But what an amazing thing when that happens. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's end on that, you guys. Good juju. Well,
thank you, Larry.
Good juju.
Larry, thank you for being the person you are. And Conrad and Justin.
Thanks, Larry Bear.
Thank you for a 2.5 hour episode on the importance of storytelling.
Is this one episode or 2 episodes?
It's 2. I'm going to break this.
It's 3. Isn't it 3?
We're going to open up a full episode with us just bullshitting about whatever the fuck we opened up on this after show.
So the first episode, the first legit episode went for an hour and 20 minutes. And then we were going to record an after show. And the after show just went for an hour and 10 minutes. So I think we'll break it into 2 episodes. Thank you so much.
That's a bookend, baby. That's storytelling.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, friends. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.